What is the Toronto Raptors' end goal after their 2020 offseason? This offseason hasn't been the worst, and it hasn't been the best for the Toronto Raptors. They made solid moves to their roster, they kept their core guys together while still having more money for next offseason. I really like the signing of Aron Baynes. Big fan of Baines, champion, high IQ big, can stretch the floor, tough guy, can play inside, bang with centers, and he just knows his role on the court. You can have him come off the bench or be a starter and he will give your team a boost. They signed DeAndre Beambry, not the biggest offensive player, but a boost defensively. Len is he's okay. He's not the best center out there, but a big body who you can throw out there for size to match on big centers. And the Raptors have this magic touch for underperforming guys, and maybe then turns things around with the Raptors, as the Raptors have one of the best player development systems in the league. Probably, I wouldn't even say one of, probably the best out of the entire league. But then you have the San Antonio Spurs, and then I have to think there. Anyways, the Raptors needed more bigs after Marc Gasol and Serge Ibaka left, and they were able to get those guys to replace them. Serge and Marc leaving had to hurt because they played a key role in the Raptors championship season and even last season, which I will stress was not a fraudulent season from the Raptors. They legit pushed the Celtics to 7 games and they were not frauds. One close game away from the Eastern Conference Finals without Kawhi. Ibaka leaving had to sting a bit because he made the same decision Kawhi did, leaving the Raptors for the Clippers, plus Marc Gasol going to the Lakers, and I'm pretty sure there was something where Marc was going to play in Spain, but ended up changing his mind. But Marc Gasol is an aging, regressing talent, and even though he was a solid piece for them in the regular season, he struggled in the postseason. Those two guys leaving was a slap in the face for this team considering how they were parts of their championship run. The Raptors were able to keep Fred VanVleet, which I'm glad. 4 years, $85 million. Seeing an undrafted guy who is a miniature crafty guard who can play defense, I'm really glad seeing him get paid because that man worked his tail off to become a main piece for the Raptors, and I'm happy for Fred. So that signing was a major W for the Raptors, and I'm glad that they stayed loyal with each other. They also signed Chris Boucher to a 2-year deal, and Boucher is a guy who has potential to become another main piece for the Raptors. He was kind of a project piece for them, but he can step up, and I kind of expect him, and I hope that he gets more minutes going into next season with the loss of Ibaka and finally gets that chance to shine. The Raptors overall is just a team that just keeps fighting to stay competitive, and they will be competitive next season. Their roster as a whole, these guys connect with each other, and they still have their core guys, Kyle Lowry, OG Anunoby, Fred VanVleet, and Pascal Siakam. Now, I really expect OG to grow and get better, probably average more points, and grow as a reliable offensive player next season. Each season, he has taken leaps in his game, and I expect more leaps from him. And I expect Siakam to really be trying to develop a bag, much more moves and building on his offensive game, and accepting more that he is the man for this team. This is the second year going in that he's going to be the man, so he's going to have to understand those responsibilities and really lock down, because last year in the postseason was not a good sight from him, so he has to bounce back here. Lowry, VanVleet, they'll be fine. They'll be annoying defensive guys, the team leaders on the backcourt, as well as helping the offensive load. I'm not going to go much more into their roster depth. They added Malachi Flynn in the draft, a solid point guard who can come in, learn from Fred and Kyle Lowry, not have a big role yet, but still be another backup point guard for the Raptors. Norman Powell, I don't know the future of him, if he's a trade piece or they keep him. Terrence Davis, oh boy, Terrence Davis. Don't really know what I can say. He was a good piece for them, a really good bright piece, young piece for them, but his future is kind of up in the air with his off the court stuff, but I'll just leave it at that. They also have a good coach in Nick Nurse. They are a team that will always be competitive because of how good defensively they are and the production from their bench and starters. The Raptors have a good culture, good roster, good coach, terrific front office, basically everything you need and would want in a championship type franchise. With these free agency moves, they will still be in the playoff pack competing, but it seems like the Raptors are looking to go full in on 2021 and their free agency class. They made very few moves in this free agency this year and wasn't really working the trade market, but they are going to be a team who is locked in on the Giannis sweepstakes. Giannis hasn't signed that Supermax yet, and he is waiting to see how the Bucks construct a roster around him to compete before he signs it. The Raptors have to be preying on Giannis's downfall with the Bucks. It should be noted that the Raptors don't really pull big-time free agents. They had to trade for it and get lucky with bringing in Kawhi Leonard, and he ended up leaving in a year. They built their roster through drafting and trades, and that's the thing about being in Toronto. Not really going to be a free agent destination despite having a great culture. So, great organization all around, but is that enough to pull in Giannis? From what I learned, and this is just a summary, Masai Ujiri and Giannis has a connection that's supposedly beyond just the NBA. Apparently, Masai has a strong connection with Giannis's family and helped them to get Greek citizenships, and plus mix that with the Greek community in Toronto. It may be a place Giannis may look to and thank Masai by signing with the Raptors. But from what I've seen, the story of this Masai Giannis isn't really all too concrete. Not too many details to go off from, so I'll just leave it at that. There were reports that in the 2013 NBA draft, the Raptors tried to trade for Giannis, so the interest in him is high. The Raptors are a possibility for Giannis due to their consistent winning through the years, and if Giannis leaves the Bucks, that will be something he takes into account heavily. Where can I win the most at? It doesn't matter where I play in, it's just where can I win. This season is probably the most important season for the Raptors because they can either hurt or boost their chances of getting Giannis. If they play like they did last season and get to the conference finals or second round at least, which I expect them to do, Giannis is going to look their way and give them serious attention, and not only Giannis, but other big free agents who may want to win now. If the Raptors get Giannis, they are immediate and serious championship contenders in the East for the future. And being with the Raptors honestly may be the best fit for him. Maybe they move Pascal as a center, but in terms of Giannis's fit and winning right away, the Raptors are the best fit for him. Miami Heat, I really don't like the fit with having him and two other guys who aren't shooters in Butler and Bam. The spacing would be terrible. Dallas could be a low-key option, the Warriors too, if they are able to compete in the West, but the Raptors have the best chance due to their organization, consistent winning, and their culture. There is a high chance, and this is a possibility, Giannis resigns with the Bucks, especially if they get to the conference finals or NBA finals, or even in the coming weeks, and I honestly expect him to resign. So what other options does that leave the Raptors? They have to have backup options here. It's a big free agency class if they strike out on Giannis. You can either look to go for another star or add on more role pieces to boost their team, or be active in trades again for another star. I really expect a big free agency next year for the Raptors, bigger than this one, and it's basically guaranteed they will have a big offseason next year. And in that free agency class, the Raptors somehow, I believe this, are going to get a big time talent to help boost this team. So with or without Giannis, I believe the Raptors will be threats in the East beyond 2021, and they have Pascal, OG, Fred to bank their future on. I hope Lowry stays on this team for the long run because he is the Raptors' heart and soul. With all that being said, I expect a big season, a big chip on the shoulders of the Raptors, and they will bounce back, push to compete in the East. Obviously, the Nets got better, the Bucks got better, Celtics, Heat stayed the same but still are threats. 76ers, I feel, got better, and I don't know if the Raptors make it to the finals, but the Raptors will still stay competitive and have a strong season. We will just have to see how they fare and compete in the 2021 playoffs because that may determine the future of this team.